All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something most of us think we get, but maybe don't fully appreciate what it really means to make a marriage last, for the long haul. We're going to pull back the curtain on the fairy tale and look at some of the powerful, unspoken truths of a real long term partnership. You know the line. We've all heard it a million times. It's the perfect ending, the ultimate relationship goal. It sounds like a finish line, right? A destination where all the hard work is done and it's just, perfect bliss forever. But what actually happens after the credits roll? What does that happiness look like after 10, 20, or even 30 years? When life gets complicated and messy and honestly kind of beautifully ordinary? Well, that's the real story we're digging into today. So, the first big reality we really need to wrap our heads around is that love itself changes. Now, that doesn't mean it fades or goes away, not at all. It evolves, it deepens, and turns into something much more resilient. I think this is the perfect way to picture it. We're constantly sold this idea that love has to be a raging bonfire, right? That initial, all-consuming, can't eat, can't sleep kind of passion. But in reality, a marriage that lasts is a lot more like a steady, warm hearth. It's less about the wild, unpredictable flames and more about a consistent, reliable warmth you can literally build your entire life around. And hey, this isn't just some nice poetic idea. This is a real thing in psychology. It's called companionate love, and it's built on a bedrock of friendship, deep intimacy, and a shared history. So that shift from a raging fire to a warm hearth is not a sign of failure. It's actually the hallmark of a successful relationship that's maturing. So the whole game plan has to shift. Instead of panicking that the initial spark is changing, successful couples learn to tend to a totally different kind of fire, one that's meant to provide warmth and light for a lifetime. Okay, this next one might sound a little backward at first, but trust me, it is absolutely essential. It's the idea that to actually get closer to your partner, you need to have moments of healthy distance and independence. We grow up with this romantic myth of two halves making a whole, that you're somehow incomplete until you find your other half. But a much healthier, more sustainable reality is two whole individuals who choose to share their lives. Think about it. If you lose yourself completely in the relationship, what do you even have left to bring to the table? And this is where you see the amazing benefits. When you keep up with your own hobbies and your own friends, you're not just taking care of yourself. You're actually investing in the relationship. You come back with new energy, new stories, and fresh perspectives. It builds respect, and it keeps the partnership from ever feeling stagnant or too codependent. Let's talk about where the real construction of love happens. And spoiler alert, it's not usually on a surprise trip to Paris. It happens in the quiet, everyday moments that we so often just take for granted. Our culture has taught us that love is proven through these huge, spectacular gestures. But if you talk to anyone who's been in a long-term marriage, they'll tell you the foundation isn't built on those occasional earthquakes of excitement. It's built on the small, consistent, daily rituals of just caring for one another. Just think about the power in these little things. Making their coffee just the way they like it. The end-of-day ritual of asking, "How was your day?" and actually listening to the answer. Sharing that one dumb inside joke that nobody else gets. These aren't just habits. They're tiny, repeated messages that say, "I see you. I care about you. We are in this together." And part of that everyday reality is disagreement. You're going to fight. The goal isn't to live in a fantasy world where you never argue. The real superpower is learning how to repair that connection after a conflict. A quick, sincere apology is so much more powerful than just pretending it never happened. So, when you start putting all these pieces together, the way love evolves, the power of being individuals, and finding beauty in the mundane, what do you actually get? Well, you start to forge a new, much more profound kind of intimacy. This is really the roadmap to that resilient kind of love. First, you embrace the shift from pure passion to a deep partnership. You nurture yourselves as individuals. You find the sacred in the ordinary. And by doing all that, you build this incredible shared story, a history of weathering storms together and, just as important, celebrating the quiet, calm days. That is what resilience looks like. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? We have this idea that true love is something you stumble upon, like finding a hidden treasure. But the reality is that true, lasting love isn't something you find. It's something you build. It's an active, conscious process put together with the messy, imperfect materials of everyday life. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We tend to romanticize fate, this idea that two people were just meant to be. But maybe, just maybe, the most romantic thing of all isn't being destined for each other. Maybe it's looking at the same person day after day, through all the challenges and all the changes, and actively choosing to love them all over again. What do you think?